This video contains a more detailed explanation of how to create and edit figures. In order to create a figure, you first need to import the image file. In this case, it's the .zvi file taken with the Zeiss microscope into ImageJ. It imported. You find the cell you care about and you draw your region of interest in ImageJ. After drawing that, you can hit the QuickFigure button and it creates your figure, which you can now edit. If you don't need to create a figure with split channels, you can just create one with only the merge. You can go to the quick figure tool and right click or control click and then hit create merge only. That will create a figure. After creating a figure, the next thing you'll want to do is add to it. That's very easy. You just take a file, in this case is a .zvi file, and drag it on top of the figure that you're adding to. Since I dragged a relatively large image, it's asking me what region I want. How about that one? And it added. I can do this any number of times. If I take a multi-channel stack that's been saved with ImageJ and drag it onto some random spot that is not my figure, it'll just create another figure. In this example figure, I am displaying 4 different channels. And right after creating this figure, I right away know that I don't need panels for the DAPI. So I'm going to click here and right click to bring up a pop-up menu and go to Recreate All Panels. That will bring up this dialog. And in this dialog, I can tell it not to include certain channels. For example, no DAPI. And let's say I didn't want GFP, I could tell it to exclude the GFP as well. Now I'm also going to tell it that I don't want DAPI in the merged. There you go. No more DAPI in the merged. And in this case, I want the panel scaled up a little bit more. So I'm going to change the scaling for this figure. For example, I'm also going to make the merged panels first. And you should really do this recreate panels right away after making the figure, because it does delete old panels and replace them with new ones. In this figure, panels derived from 4 separate images are displayed. For demonstration purposes, I've chosen images in which the brightness and contrast has been adjusted in wildly inconsistent ways. I hope you don't normally make these crazy adjustments, but even when you simply import images into ImageJ, there'll be an auto-scaling that won't necessarily give consistent display ranges to every single image you open. Within QuickFigures, there's a way to make sure that the display range of each channel is consistent between images. It's very easy to access. You simply right-click on an image panel with the channel you're interested in. You go to the Channel submenu, and you can either click Window Level or Min-Max. That will open up a Min-Max or Window Level Adjuster that is very similar to ImageJ's Window Level Adjuster, except that when you make adjustments, it will adjust not just one of the images, but it will adjust all of them to the same exact display range. If you right-click on the Merge panel and bring up this window level adjuster, you'll bring up one that has a few tabs, one for each of the channels. This one, as you might expect, still adjusts all the channel panels, and it will adjust them in exactly the same way so that you're not forcing one channel to be strangely brighter than the others in an artificial way. And there you have it. The display range has been set consistently. for all of these panels. Now, there is something I still don't like about this figure, the fact that each channel is depicted in a grayscale, and I would like them to be depicted in colors. So I simply right-click on an image panel again, go to the channel submenu again, hit change color modes. This has now made the channel panels depicted in color, which, according to my current tastes, looks better, but you may want them to be in grayscale. Now, Psi-5 is a fluorophore that emits at a wavelength invisible to humans. However, it's being depicted in magenta here. However, magenta doesn't really contrast well enough with the red. So I want to change the false coloring of the Psi-5. So I go to that channels menu again, and I go to recolor channels, and I hit blue, and that will change the color of the channel label. It will also change both the split panels and the merged, and it will do that for every single one of the four images here. And that is extremely convenient. You will sometimes want to change the order of your channels. That's also very easy. If you click on a panel that contains multiple channels, you'll see these channel handles appear, and you can simply drag the mouse in between these handles to swap them around, and you'll see the order of the channels changing. You can also change the channel order using the channel swapper tool, and in this case you're just dragging in between panels that have different channels in them. The same thing is done. Editing text items is also quite easy. If I double click on a text item, you'll see its appearance change. That means it's in text edit mode. And at that point, I can simply type in what I want this channel label to be depicted as. In this case, that was an antibody against ODF2. For this particular label, I'm making the glued a superscript because this protein P150 glued is within the literature sometimes referred to as P150 glued with a superscript. And of course, it fits better within the panel. And this I can do to really any of these labels. Now, in order to edit all of these channel labels consistently, I simply right click and a menu pops up, edit all channel labels. And this will give me an option that allows me to change the font of the channel labels, as well as other properties of these label channel labels dialog. There's a lower part with a bunch of options. Right here, we simply have merge. Of course, we can change that. We can make every color in a single line. We can have a multi-line channel label, which extends up beyond your view right now. We can have a rainbow, or we can have just merged. Of course, we can make the colors much brighter or darker as is convenient for us. Of course, can also change the fonts of other pieces of text. I can also add additional labels. For example, if I right-click on the layout, go to Extend Figure, and go to the Labels submenu, I can generate some row labels. In this case, the actual names of the labels come from the file names that these images were derived from. In this case, it makes a lot more sense to just label them as something that is scientifically meaningful. There we go. And we can continue making every other kind of edit to the figure. You can edit the row labels collectively, by simply right-clicking on a row label and going down to the Edit All Row Labels menu option. Once you've done this, the changes you make should be applied to all the row labels, including changes in font and other properties. That's convenient. Most types of edits are common sense. You can click on an item to drag it where you need it to be, or edit it in any way that you find useful.